I just wanted to take a moment and let you know that the video you are about to watch will be audio only, as while I was recording and getting my thoughts straight about what I wanted to say in the video, well, darn if I just didn't get in a groove and end up recording the entire thing. So rather than reshoot it and try to repeat everything, I just decided to do an audio only video. And yeah, hopefully next time I am recording my outline, I'll just think to turn my camera on. Hello, and welcome. Thanks for joining. If you are here for this basic introduction to magic, it's probably because you're just starting out and you're just looking for pointers and insight, instructions on where to go. Or maybe you've been into it for a few years and you're just looking for another perspective or opinions, things to give you more to think about, learn, perhaps enhance your journey as you walk along your path. And as we get into this, all I ask is that you set aside your opinions, any preconceptions that you may have for how this is going to go, and just be open to new perspective, ways of thinking, to sit down what all the cool kids are always talking about, or the people online, to just be open and know that, I will share my opinions, but not everything is coming specifically from my opinion. That will be something that will come up as we go along. But I hope that I can inspire, entertain, and just, give food for thought for where you are going on your journeys. So, as we begin here, what, at its most basic, is magic? I mean, in a nutshell, one of the most basic things that we can say is magic is using our mind, using thought to direct energy toward bringing a desired outcome, circumstance, what have you, to bring a desire into our lives. It's working with energy. That is a very basic thing, and we all want to know how to do that. We are here because we have allowed such notions and awareness to be a part of our lives, because it is a weird, wonderful universe that we are in. And it's chaotic, but without the chaos, we wouldn't have the opportunities that we have for discovery in everyday life, and we most certainly would not have what we needed for magic to work, which is that chaos of which magic is our attempt to wrangle it a little bit and shift things slightly more, sometimes greatly more, in our favor. And that is a wonderful state of mind. And magic it's very hands-on. I know we are presented the idea that we light some candles, we cleanse, we maybe leave an offering and ask some otherworldly intelligence to just give us something. That's only kind of magic. Magic, where I'm going as this is going, it's hands-on. Because with magic, we are daring to do what we can and find the means to bend reality in our favor. And feel excited about that. I feel excited just saying it. Just think about that. Magic is hands-on. It's not, asking some other being to just give us something. I mean, if you're walking down the street minding your own business and somebody runs up to you, gives you $5, a bunch of flowers, whatever. They give you something and then they ask you to alleviate whatever problem is most pressing for them at the time. What are you going to do with it? I mean, you might feel for them, you might be empathetic, you might be able to offer some advice or a pointer, and maybe if it's something simple enough, maybe you can help them right there, then and there. But you're really going to be stuck. And granted, we do not have quite the same grand, mysterious existence as such spirits as we are inclined to call upon in magic-related workings. But it's not that dissimilar. They might be able to do a little bit to help, but ultimately, what some magic is you're the one running up to the guy, just minding their own business, giving them something, and hoping that they can help. And, well, that gets beyond the scope of where we're starting here. That's further down the road. But that may be a thing you can do in magic, but where I'm going with all of this is you are the masters of your universe. That's kind of corny. I did not mean to say it that way, but I'm a geek, so I'm going to keep it. But that's what I mean. You are and can be the director of your life experience. Like, you are not lesser. You are not a lesser being because you are not a quote-unquote deity. And now I am not dismissing their existence. Not at all. Like, my stance on them, where I am existentially, philosophically, because I think about it. Like, I think who or what are the deities? And there are magics that reach out and work with spirits, but not the way that many beginning in magic are led to believe that it works. And that, again, will be something for later. So here we are, you all in your own right. You are your own deity. This is your universe, our universe, and you have magic at your disposal. So now we can move on to a bit more of a definite definition. Actually, that's all very redundant, but new definition of magic, a deeper one. What is magic? How would you define it? Now I, in my opinion, find that Aleister Crowley, whatever you think of him, I am not big on his works or anything at all. However, I do find his definition so simple, so practical, and it is simplistic and it is profound at the same time when you really think about it. And because I can never remember the exact quote, I'm going to paraphrase Crowley's definition of magic, which is that magic is the art and science of manifesting change in accordance with the will. Now, when you really think about that and just boil it right down, it really means that any willful act, anything that you willfully undertake that yields your desired outcome, I mean, think about that. Like, little mundane things can be magic. I mean, a great big example of it is, let's look at art, a piece of art, whatever medium, whatever genre, art. Think about it. You took an idea from your mind, your inspiration, and you bring that idea into physical existence using the ways and means at your disposal. Whether it's canvas and paint, whether it's clay and you sculpt it, you still wanted to create something. You had the idea and you brought it into physical existence. It did not exist before you willfully made it happen. That is magic. I mean, granted, it's no magic words, and it's not just appearing. You had to do the work, but you still created it. You brought it into being. You just used what was already around. Now, do we think of these things as, do we disregard rather them as magic because we had to get physical, we had to get our hands dirty? Is it less magical because it didn't just appear or wasn't delivered to us by some etheric being, that we had to take the clay, that we had to take the paint, the canvas, whatever it was? Is it any less magic because we had to do those things? I mean, we take such things for granted, but you were using what was available to you. Energy follows the path of least resistance. And for creating art, like, what is the path of least resistance? It's going as picking up the canvas, the paint, and just painting. The greater resistance would be sitting, staring at your easel, and then trying to summon enough power of mind to either make the paint appear on the canvas or telekinetically float everything around the room and paint it psychically. And the world hasn't really gotten around people just bending spoons, and it's really just that one guy, maybe a couple others really. That would be the path of much, much greater resistance than just doing it yourself. So again, is that art, that creation, is it any less magic because you had to physically create it with your own two hands? Now, often when we think of magic, we are thinking of working with the immaterial, making the impossible a little more possible or actually happen, because that's kind of the whole point of magic. But that's not entirely magic, because it's so much bigger than dealing with etheric forces and energies and just making the situations that we want to manifest in our lives. But just the same, working to make that piece of art and working with the ways and materials that we have at our disposal to bring our creation into the world. Magic, the energies, they work with the subtle forces. They work with the energies and chaos that's available, and we try to get all of that to shift and work in our favor with what is around. And now, as an aside, when we get to energy, Just to quickly touch on that, the paint, the canvas, and everything around us is energy working at different wavelength, vibration, everything. It's not opinion, it's not fantasy, it's scientific fact. Every substance, material, it's all energy. Atoms sticking together, forming the various states of matter that we have. So the clay you're using is energy. The paint, the canvas is energy. You are manipulating energy. It's just at a very slow level of vibration that gives it the illusion of being a hard physical substance. That's as far as I'm going to go into that. But art is magic. Or heck, even a car. Somebody has the idea for a car, they use the ways and means available to them, and they make a car. Whereas magic and etheric energies that we are working with, those are higher levels of vibration. They're more subtle, but at the end of the day, everything's all energy and everything is a part of the same grand universe. Okay, now we have an idea for what magic is or can be. How do we put it to use to improve our lives, to have those things that we want so bad? The reason that we're here, the reason that we're into this. Is it time for spells? I mean, yes, that's one of the things, but there's so many different forms spells can take. Is it the candles, the crystals, the altars, again going back to offerings and deities? Deities, spirits, and magic do not ever have to be related. If it's what you want in your practice, so be it. So is it the candles and crystals and whatnot? Yes, it can be, but it doesn't have to be. None of that is needed. All of the aesthetics, the trappings, the pageantry and theater of spells and rituals, it's not needed. The slightest thing that you need is your own mind. You are the only spirit that you need ever work with. You just need yourself. All of the props and everything, they're fun enough. We are dealing with the bare bones basics right here. So you just need an open mind, your thought, your desire, and build your energy and aim it out where it will guide your desire to you. That all you just do then, you just think about it and it happens. That's the law of attraction. But it's not the law of attraction. Yes, while a thought is all you need, you don't have to obsess with it. It's not one of those things where you just think about it so hard that it just happens. No, it's being aware, being thoughtful and decisive and willful about your intent to use the energy that you build to bring your reality, your circumstance, your desire to you. And that's where I like to just sort of call it having a magical mind or magical mindset. It's an entirely different way of thinking. It's making your life magical, whether you do magic every day or think about it every day or not. It's that magic is real and that you have the power to shape reality. It's knowing that as much as you know water is wet. And you don't often think about water being wet, except for specific situations where you kind of need that quality of water. So it's, let's say for example, that you or someone you know, perhaps looking for a new job. Well, how are you going to do that if you're not doing the spells and the things that people tell you to do to bring that? It's you look at the situation, and now with a magical mind, how are they going to get that job? Well, one, they need to be looking and applying, because you have to give opportunity for magic to happen. And you can just be very vague, because if you don't know what kind of job you want, you can just be very vague with it. It's very oxymoronic, but you can be generally specific. And you can just think about finding, or them finding, and this has worked for me. This is from experience and my actual thought process of finding the best job for yourself or for someone else that is best at this moment in their life. And you can send that out there because you're part of the universe. You are connected, and it's being aware. And when you send that out there, you can just think and feel about hearing the news that you've got the job, you interview. You don't even have to have an idea of what the job might be. Just the best one for now. And if it ends up being the exact career that you've always wanted and you don't have need or want to move on from it, that's fine. Because that's still best for now. But if change will happen down the road, it's still the best for now, and you can work on the next best one when you get to that point in your life experience. So The technique that I use, it's very simple. It's just cultivating just a general mindfulness about your connection with the universe. And it's especially helpful when you are sending energy out there to feel as far and wide as you can and just know that it's going to do its thing. And to be excited about it. Feel as witchy, wizardy, or magely as you want doing this, because you are working magic. The power of your mind to shift reality is what you are doing. Even though it's just a thought. It is thought, it is intention, it is your will to bring this about. And that is what the energy is going to follow. Because energy follows thought, which is also energy, because everything's energy. And you just build that up and let it go. If you, whatever sources you are familiar with drawing power from, you can do that. You can imagine it flowing into your thoughts, into a ball of light or whatever, and then casting that off and out, because I have used that also. Engage your emotion, your imagination. It gives power to you. And as you practice this thing, like, your mind gets used to being expanded like that. The magical mind. I don't know, I just like saying it. It's not going to be like a trademark or anything, but I just don't really know how else to go about it. And you can do simple exercises to just sort of feel it, to help maintain the mindset. It's nothing that you have to have 24/7 all the time at all, because magic is real. You can use it when you need it, if you need it. So you don't have to think about it all the time, because that's why you're here. That's why you are into magic. Every single day, you are a magical person, whether you're using it actively or not, whether you know what you're doing or not. You don't have to do workings all the time. But there are times where you might do workings every day toward your goal, and that is perfect. But just because you're not doing magic doesn't mean that you have stopped being a magical person, that you have stopped being a part of that aspect of reality. So for the exercise, and don't worry about your level or ability in visualization, because I'm just now getting comfortable with how I visualize, quote unquote, for myself. Like if I picture a red ball, well, I don't see one in front of me. I don't really see one in my head, but I see it. So it's just there. There's just like this sensation or knowing of a red ball, but I don't see one anywhere. I close my eyes, no red ball. It's not like when I dream that it's right there in front of me. I mean, and it's crazy to think that there are some people that might actually perceive that way, but we don't know how any of us visualize. So don't get hung up on how you visualize, because for a long time I was very hung up on those words, and it's just supposed to be there, the same as looking at the room that I'm in. It was just supposed to be there when I closed my eyes, and it was never there. It's never there. So just feel and sense how you feel and sense. That is what that word means to you. Visualize. It's how you do it, not compared to anyone else, because you're not anyone else. So it's just sit. You can close your eyes, you don't have to, and just clear your mind. If a thought pops in, just let it go. Don't chase it. Don't go down the rabbit hole, and just take in the area around you. Feel the area of the chair, the wall, wherever you are. Let your mind expand. You don't have to look at anything in particular. You can let your eyes wander, because what you're doing is you're feeling with your mind. What you see here is irrelevant. You are just taking it all in. Eyes open or eyes closed. If you close your eyes, just feel what you were looking at right before you close them. Can you sense the walls? What's behind you, to your side? And it's okay. Imagine whatever's there. You don't know. But whatever you imagine, maybe your subconscious knows. So the thing that you're imagining on a shelf behind you, or what have you, is actually there. But that's not the point. The point is letting your mind expand and just feeling everything. And I'm sure if you would keep practicing stuff like this, you probably could get to the point where you do start dialing in and you know what's around you. So just do that for a little bit. Just let your mind expand, fill the room, and just sense whatever comes to you, whatever sensation, and just be aware of that. Your mind is now that big. Now, let it expand a little further. Can you sense the room beyond? Or on the other side of the wall, outside, down the street? Just let your mind keep going and just keep feeling things bigger and bigger. Maybe there's a bird singing in a tree. There might be that exact bird that you're thinking of now might actually be out there. But again, that's not the point. The point is just feeling the expansiveness of your mind. I don't know if that's proper grammar, but it felt right at the time. So your mind is now that big. You sense the world around you. The tree, they're there. Just feel the grandeur. Now, from however big you are now, can you go bigger? The end of the block, the edges, whatever town or city you're in, the continent. Can you be aware of the curvature of the earth as your mind expands around it? Wherever you're sitting or standing, can you just sort of sense whatever is on the other side of the planet? Just feel that big. Can you leave the planet for the edges of the universe? Is it daunting? Is it exciting? All the mystery and potential that abounds out there. I mean, it's not that hard of an exercise, at least I don't think so. And it's something that you can just do. And it helps you think. So can you have your thoughts fill the room around you, not just your head? That one is a little bit more tricky. I don't even remember if I read about that one or I just started doing it to move your thought process away from your physical body and think with the entire room, because that's where your mind is when you want it to be. So with your magical mind, and you're wanting to bring that desired outcome, in this case, we'll go back to the job, that's where you're letting your mind go. Where you're releasing that energy, like out into all of that, because out there is where that opportunity is. Just don't expect it to show up at your door, the new job. Because again, you still have to be out there and provide the opportunities for it to come. And now, when magic works, in my case, it did work, at least as far as I can tell the way things roll. But magic, remember, it works subtly. It will very rarely be a profound moment where, holy cow, it worked. It's subtle, it's natural, it happens through coincidences. So when you're doing a working, and something seems like it could have been your spell, or, well, not spell, your magic at this moment, when it could have been your magic, accept that, be grateful for that, because it very well could have been. And maybe it happened within a few minutes, and you can think, well, that was too fast. But a little trick with magic and energies as you start putting things out there is in the ether, in the etheric realms that we send our energies out, time isn't the way we experience it here. So if your magic seems to happen a little too quickly, that could be because it started working back from the future to happen right when you needed it. Because now you have it. Because on the other side, past, present, future, they're all simultaneous. So just keep that in mind. It can happen too fast to be magic, when in fact that's could very well be what it was. So don't dismiss it. Accept it. Feel grateful. I mean, you can always question, because the world that we live in, I mean, things like that don't fit logically relative to our physical experience. But logic is relative depending on the system and situation at the time. But don't dismiss coincidences, because that's how magic usually will be coming to you. And sometimes it's so natural and subtle that it could be days, weeks, months before you realize that magic you had worked, that you had sent out, actually brought you to where you wanted to be, because it was so natural. So in my particular case, getting back to the job, a friend of mine was looking to move on from where they were because they needed more. And I wanted that. And so I just did my thing where for them to get the best or most perfect job for them at that moment in their life. And I couldn't speculate how many days or weeks might have gone by for that to happen. I honestly don't think it was all that many. And what had happened by happenstance, she just happened to be in a conversation with someone. Either that or someone she knew was in a conversation about what she did for a living, was looking for. And that person, well, wouldn't you know, they just happen to know an exact position where someone was looking for someone with those qualifications and experience. And just through that coincidental conversation that I do believe someone else was having, here comes their job. Everything fell into place right when they needed it. And I choose to believe, just because it was too coincidental, that it worked. And that's not the first time that I had done that. That's one of the best experiences I had using that particular method of just directing thought. And that's how you can do magic bare bones, is with that magical mindset, with that intent and awareness of what you're doing. You're not just wishfully thinking. You are being exact, you are being deliberate, and even though you're not being specific, that you're being specific just enough to allow for the right thing to come in its due time. And it's a crazy thing when you can do magic that easy, and it changes how you go about every day when situations arise. It's a fun way to be. So don't worry about not being able to, and I've been there, so many others aren't, to afford the candles, the crystals, all the knickknacks and bits and bobs that people like to claim are necessary for magic. You don't need any of that. You don't have to be a witch. You don't have to be whatever fun word people are using. That doesn't stop you from being magical. I myself, I've asked so many questions. I like to consider myself an arcanologist, one who studies, well, the arcane and esoteric, because it's just a fascinating world out there, and there's so many different things that can go into magic and the wonderful weirdness of the universe. So I hope that, I can help you with your magical mind, that this helped to inspire perhaps a new way of thinking, to look at things differently, that you don't have to stick to the cookie cutter things that all the cool kids talk about incessantly. They stop seeking. Never stop seeking. And that is one of the biggest things about this magical path, is that you need to be passionate about it. And I think by things that I have said here, you might realize that the scope of it can be potentially very big, very grand, and it could be overwhelming. But don't look at what is out there and all the stuff that you still have to learn or do or experience. Just start here. Just start with the very basics of your magical mind and willfully and deliberately using your thought and energy. You can start that now and build upon learning more about energy work and all of that other stuff. Because energy follows thought. You just need to know that much. Do you think about every time you take a breath, do you think about how the air flows into your lungs? No, you breathe and it just happens. So going back to breathing, it's just another little thing that you can add to the bare bones approach. Something to think about to draw your desires to you is also when you need a new job or whatever it is. I'm going to stick with the job thing. But if you want a new one, often you can think about, and often people will go to the fact that they lack a better job or a more fulfilling job or whatever. So if you recognize the lack, and this is where I hate for it to touch on the law of attraction after I've said it doesn't matter. It still doesn't. So you, rather than seeing a lack of that new job, the more fulfilling job or whatever, instead of seeing the lack of that desire, look at it as space. That's not absence, that's potential. That you have space in your life for a better, more fulfilling job, for whatever that desire is. You have space for it. And where there is space, things generally tend to flow into and fill an empty space. So that's not lack, that is potential. And that's another thing to keep in your magical mindset. That whatever you seem to be lacking, no, you have potential for that desire. You have room for that desire in your life. It's not lack. It is room. It is space to be filled by that, just like releasing all the air from your lungs. Just blow it out. Do you lack air? Or do you have space for your lungs to be filled? Do you have room in your lungs for air to flow in? And so blow all the air out. Do it right. Just do it. Just exhale. Feel that. Hold it. Feel the emptiness. Feel that space. and relax. Don't even inhale deliberately. Just relax and let the air do what it does. When you as soon as you relax, what happens? The air just flows in. You don't even have to try to bring it in. It just flows in to fill the space that you had for it. So that is another aspect when you're just using your mind, and will to bring those things into your life, that you can recognize the space that you have for it and send that energy out to guide it to flow into the space that you have for it. And that can be such a powerful thing to have with, maybe I should just trademark it, your magical mind. And this is how you can approach so many things, just at this most basic level of magic. And it's my hope that you find that it works for you just as it did for me. With that, I wish you all the best in all of your endeavors, magical and mundane alike, and I shall see you next time.